Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, the cash cow of the YTBC. We came here to really talk about some boxing today. I got my dad here, and we're going to discuss a very serious topic, okay, in boxing. Now, for the sake of this video, and for the sake of not exposing too much, and protecting the confidentiality of people we talk to, we are not going to expose any fighters' names, venues, promoters, or managers, but we will talk about things that were told to us recently by fighters.
Yes.
Okay, so me and my dad, we were talking to a fighter recently, one-on-one. We were talking to a fighter, and this guy, like, he's on the come up. He's a good fighter. He may be challenging for world titles within his next 4 to 5 fights. He's quality. And this fighter told us about some of the harsh realities that he's went through from the business of boxing, and these are things that you're not going to find out on Boxing Scene. You're not going to find this on YouTube. But I figured since he told us, we would expose what was told to us and kind of give you guys a bit of insight into what goes on in boxing. Just at the I mean, on a national level, it goes on crazy. But this is
the dark side.
This is the dark side of boxing. Okay, so we had a fighter, Dad, and this is a fighter, a local fighter, and this guy, he sells tickets. He's known, like, he's a good fighter.
Yep.
He's dedicated to the game.
Yep.
We talked to him recently, and he was telling us about this one promoter, and he was telling us about how.
And it's crazy. You telling us before a fight.
He got so mind you, he's nonchalantly telling us that we were at a fight card recently, and he's telling us this before he has to get there. This is about an hour or two before he's main inventing a card.
I was like, what?
So
he was really upset.
He was not upset. He told us calmly about what goes on in boxing. So the first thing he told us, he said, this game is very dirty. He said, my first 11 to 12 professional fights, I didn't even get paid. I fought those fights for free.
Oh, wow.
And then he also told us that he fought at a venue one time. So I want you guys to listen up and just pay attention to what I'm telling you. So this guy, he has a good local following. He's selling tickets. People care about him fighting. You know, he even had celebrities coming to see him fight.
That's crazy.
Okay, and he told us out of his own mouth, because he was fighting at a pretty good venue here in South Florida, and he decided to start fighting at a smaller venue because he made more money. But he was telling us that he basically had to pay, what was it, $7,000? $7,000 to fight at the venue, and on top of that, he had to pay the opponent that he was going to be fighting along with the $7,000 to fight there, and then he wouldn't even. I think he told us that he didn't even see his whole fight purse. Like that.
He was basically saying, like, look, the fight, being a boxer alone is enough stress. Nothing's guaranteed when you get in that ring if you're going to come back out alive or not. That's the reality of it. And the other thing is about survival of the fetus or surviving to provide for your family. But how can you provide for your family when before you even get your check's already taken away from you?
You've already paid 45, 50% of your check just to fight at the damn venue.
And then that's why this is why I think whenever boxers choose whatever venue or promoters or whatever they choose, they need to do their homework on that. Because at the end of the day, it's like anything else. My mom always told me, my mama always told me that if you don't get nothing in writing in black and white, don't believe the hype.
Absolutely.
And basically what I'm getting at, this is a guy just about to step in the ring, well known and everything. Like, you think that the last thing in his mind will be just getting in the ring and taking care of the opponent, but no, he's got to worry about his finances because he had to make a big transition somewhere else because of the fact that I'm getting lowball.
You're getting lowball, and
for no reason.
And this is a guy who's selling tickets. Like, he's doing good at the local level. He's doing good. He's known. Like,
he's going up in rankings.
He's going up in the rankings. He's now in the WBC rankings in his weight class. So he's doing good for himself.
All kind of followers. NBA,
all kinds of
football,
NBA players coming to his fights. Rappers coming to his fights.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to money, and you're feeding your family. And when you have certain promoters that just want to, like, everything is greed about them, and not really about the fighter, then you might have to take 2 steps back to get that big loaf of bread. Then go forward 5 steps forward.
Kind of see the bigger picture.
Yeah, and that's what he's done. But I was shocked to even hear that.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because, you know, over the last couple months, I keep a lot of things that are wraps. I don't want to put these promoters' business out here because honestly, it'll affect me. But again, I'm not using names here.
Yeah.
I'm not using names here. So if any of you know that I'm talking about you in this video, it's just because
you know who you
are. All right. I'm not using your name. I'm not using the venue we're talking about.
No.
I'm just telling you that a fighter.
The dark side.
The dark side of boxing. So it's funny because I also know because I know a couple of promoters not big promoters, but promoters,
Well known.
at the local level.
Right.
I know promoters who basically, they'll have fighters who sell massive amounts of tickets that pack the venue, just pack the venue, and they don't want those fighters. They want those fighters to get big, but not big enough to the point where they're gonna be big to go fight like out of state, move on. They want to keep them, you know, where they're at, on the small club shows. So what they'll do is they'll sometimes they might go get an opponent, a good opponent, by the way, a good opponent on 2 days' notice, and throw a guy who is a good prospect who's selling lots of tickets in the ring with him in his third, fourth fight when he's had like almost barely any rounds of boxing.
Wow.
And try to get him beat out of spite.
That's crazy.
Instead of being happy that hey, I got a guy to help me carry this card, he wants to get mad that he's not going to be there for 3, 4, 5 more fights because maybe he's lazy as a promoter. Yeah. Maybe he's someone that's not really putting his best foot forward to look out for the fighters, and maybe he's built up a bad reputation not throughout all of boxing.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I would say you treat people the way you want to be treated, and sooner or later your true colors are going to come out.
Absolutely.
And the reality of it is, if you've made enough from that cash cow balance to bring to where you're at as a promoter or whatever for the fighter, then the right thing for you to do is let him go on. That's why you groom the other fighters that are coming up, so you can pick up on more fighters and making that money. Pick up on the ones that give you this and that. But when the fighters, my whole thing with this is fighters give their life each and every day when they go in that ring, when they're training every day.
Even in sparring.
Right. So how can you sit there? How can you sit there and shortchange them if you're not even in the ring to do what they're doing?
It's cowardice. It's very cowardice. I know another fighter. He was telling me one time. He called me up one time. Good friend of mine. I know another fighter who called me up one time and he told me about a promoter that again he was trying to get him beat in a fight recently because of the fact that they offered this guy a contract to sign with their promotional company, and he didn't sign it, but he still has a working relationship with the company, so he fights on the cards, but he didn't want to be tied down to the company. And that guy tried to get him beat. He pulled the okie dokie. He had a stay busy fight, what fighter he was probably gonna beat, a journeyman. They scrapped that fight, and they got a guy who was like a live butt, like a good experienced fighter.
Yeah.
They threw in it was
to the wolves. Yeah.
This guy has like less than 10 fights, and he's fighting a guy who could very well go in there and beat him and derail his hype early on in his career. So things like this happen in boxing. This is the ugly side of boxing. You have a lot of politics. Boxing is no different than like working. I've always said this, and the business of boxing is no different than working on Wall Street in corporate America. You have egos, you have agendas, you have people who may smile in your face and say, "Hey, good to see you, great to see you, we love you," but behind closed doors, they want the worst for you. They don't want the best for you.
Because we've gone to a lot of venues, myself and my son, and like we can get spotted off that their mind's not even in there.
What, the fighters or?
Yeah, the fight. Like they're at the fight. They know they got to fight, but their mind.
But they're thinking about if they're getting a check after the fight, or.
I was like, what?
Like you. I remember one time you heard of a fighter. He was speaking in Spanish at the gym one time. You heard of a fighter. What did he say? That don't mention the name or what his nationality is or weight class.
No, I won't. Basically, what happened was it's like you performing a service and you did a great job on your service and you're ready to get paid.
Yep.
And it wasn't what the contract was.
Yep.
So that's basically the conversation was about with the fighter. He really got upset. The manager was going back and forth. I'm like, and this is me like a first spectator in the gym. We're just watching what's going on, but just observing because I'm good at that. And I'm like, I know I'm not hearing this right. Yeah, the guy got shortchanged, and he was like, what? Oh no, they didn't tell you this and that. The manager had to go back and forth and say, no, you got to pay me what I fought for. So. I mean, how much respect do you have for a promoter or anybody that does it to another fighter? You might as well just shoot the horse, just like the horse at a race before he goes racing.
Yeah.
Shoot him and collect the liability. You're better off. I mean, that's no respect. There's no principle behind it. I was like, and the more I get around boxing, the more my son tells me about boxing, the more I see my son is right. It's like a dirty, it's like the mafia. I'm not gonna say mafia, but I'm saying like it's like a dirty, cold blood.
It's the wild, wild west.
Like you wouldn't even think. You would never in your wildest think that there's lots of dirtiness going behind.
Boxing, you know what's funny? It's gonna be fun. It's gonna sound funny when I say this out loud, but it's actually the truth. The way boxers get I'm not saying all promoters, but the majority of promoters treat boxers like prostitutes.
That's crazy, but
Like in pimps have a term called, like in boxing they would call them the cash cow.
Right.
In prostitution, pimps would call the best prostitute the bottom bitch.
Wow, that's
Okay?
crazy.
So if you're not the prostitute's bottom bitch, the pimp doesn't really care about the other prostitutes who aren't getting as much money as the bottom bitch.
Crazy.
And the same thing with boxing. You see a lot of times the promoters, they don't care about fighters who aren't the cash cows, or they don't give as much those guys as much, you know, treatment. And but what's funny is in this case, because we're talking about boxing at the local level. We're talking about boxing in South Florida.
Not even way up, yeah.
We're not talking about boxing like so. A lot of the fighters I'm talking about that I haven't even mentioned yet, you guys don't even know who they are.
Right.
Okay, but locally, these are guys that sell tickets. These are guys that are factors. These are guys that are names. They're known here. Okay, and they're not even getting treated right. So what does that say about the club fighters, or the guys who aren't as at bringing the tickets as these other guys are? So it's a dirty sport. And I've always told my dad, because I had this because Riddick Bowe has always told me that he thinks that Riddick Bowe has told me on the many times to my face that he thinks I have what it takes to be a good professional fighter. He's told me that many times. So I went through this period where I actually considered it for a bit, like becoming a professional fighter, but then like I know very intimately about how dirty the game of boxing is.
Things,
So I'm not afraid to go in there and fight. I like to fight.
Yeah.
I have no problem going in there and taking some punishment. I mean, I'm not going to try to take punishment, but I know that whether you're sparring or fighting, you're going to take punishment in one way or the other as a fighter. It's a barbaric sport. I'm not afraid of that. I'm afraid of, you know, getting a manager and him stab me in the back. That's the biggest fear as a fighter.
I'm saying, like, if you just go in the ring and you fight a 12-round fight or 10-round fight, and you gave your life, you don't know what's going to happen to you. And the next day you're ready to collect on your paycheck, and all of a sudden it's not what you got paid for. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like, you're stuck now because this promoter is the one that's giving you the fights. Do I just take the check and run, or this is going to be my last paycheck? It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's like, so a lot of times you guys don't understand something about these fighters.
I don't ask questions no more. I just watch. My son tells me just watch.
Just
watch it, listen. Just watching. Yeah.
So one thing you guys gotta understand with boxing is a lot of times, fighters could go into a fight, particularly if you're the B-side fighter. This happens a lot more to B-side fighters than it does A-side fighters. But if you're a fighter and you're the B-side fighter, you can go in that ring and not even know if you're getting a check after the fight.
Oh,
so a lot of times these fighters, because they
include the journeymen too.
These includes journeymen. A lot of times fighters could go in that ring with this on their mind, with the fact that I don't even know if I'm getting my check after this fight.
It's crazy.
And they could be, you could be a B-side fighter fighting an undefeated prospect who has a 90% knockout percentage, and this is on your mind while you're fighting.
Yeah, that's
so
crazy.
I mean, these are the things people don't talk about, and these are the things that, like, you know, have become more apparent to me. Because you know what it is? I'll be honest with you guys. I'm talking about this. I'm not mentioning fighters. I'm not mentioning promoters. I'm not mentioning venues. And I'm not giving no details other than what I've heard. A lot of fighters come up to me because they trust me.
Oh my God, do they?
They come to me and they trust me because they know I'm not going to wrong them. I'm not going to stab them in the back.
For any advice.
I'm not going to. Sometimes I had one fighter. He's a junior. He's a 154-pound prospect. He's 5'1". And he was telling me that he thinks I can get into boxing management. And, you know, that I haven't completely ruled it out, but you know, after doing a bit more research and talking to some people, I mean,
he told you it's a nasty world.
It's very, very cutthroat.
He warned you. He told you.
And I mean, look, if that's where God truly leads me, then I'll go there. That's not something I'm going to force.
What did my son told me they do? That promoters try to steal the other fighters from the other fighters.
Crazy. The promoters try to steal the other fighters from each other.
Even though they're contract.
They pit the manager. They pit the manager against the fighters. It's crazy. So, but you know, I had a fighter who was who's a 5'1" prospect. He's a good fighter, and he's a fighter that, with the right promotion and management, he'd probably be someone that could contend for world titles. But a lot of you, I can guarantee you, 99.9% of you don't even know who this guy is. But I've seen this guy beat the shit out of people in sparring, and I'm talking about he's beat the shit out of name fighters in his weight class in sparring. Like, he's a good fighter.
He told you could be management.
And he told me if I ever got into management that he has a fighter in him. So I can manage a fight right now if I wanted to. But then I don't have the funds to do that. You know, being a manager is money. You got to pay for their expenses, place for them to stay, things like that. So I can't offer that to a fighter. But it's a dirty, dirty game. Fighters get frozen out of fights. You know, a lot of times we were talking to that one guy. Remember that one guy we talked to? The guy who was giving me advice, financial advice at the fights?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking to us about Tremaine Williams. Remember you telling me about Tremaine Williams?
Yeah.
Well, no, I can say his name because none of this is about him. He was talking about Tremaine Williams.
Oh, his investment. That's all
No.
Okay.
He was talking about Tremaine Williams. How Tremaine Williams is a very good fighter, but he gets blackballed.
Right.
He gets now got his first fight on the zone.
It's crazy. Yeah. Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah. And he was telling you that I made a video, and that's when he knew I was serious about. Like,
he's telling you, he's affected you for that.
So like you get guys like Tremaine Williams who are 17-time national champions.
They get no respect.
And guys don't want to fight him. Guys don't want to fight Tremaine Williams. They don't want to fight the mighty midget.
Yeah, but they know what time it is. But it's true. So I mean, sometimes, and I'll say there's a lot of the LDBC, they don't like True School Sports, or they don't like to call things the way they are sometimes. But you know what? Sometimes we got to bring these topics out here to make it aware to the boxing fan. The fan that just sits there doesn't really know what's going on. No. And we're the only voice for them and the insight to them in the sport.
That's it. And a lot of times too, like, you gotta understand, fighters can only say so much because if they're tapping the contract and they go out there, let's say that if they start telling you guys some of the things I'm saying about their promoters, then their promoters can use that against them
and cut the paycheck.
So I'm being the voice for the voiceless.
Exactly.
And you know, I don't have the biggest channel out there, but I have a channel, I have a platform.
But we're
gonna use it for good.
He's got like a lot of trust. It's crazy because I'll sit at home and that phone be ringing left and right. Who's this? Oh, this trainer. Who's this?
This
fighter. This boxer.
This prospect. This champion.
I said, Brandon, what's going on? And he's not lying to him. He tells you it's because of his honesty, sincerity, and he's not trying to screw anybody over.
Nope.
And they get that sense that whatever he's going to tell them is going to be, like we call it here, when it's a spade is a spade, or a cake is a cake.
Much bigger cake is a damn cake.
Yeah. So we're just trying to give you a little insight on some of the things in this sport. And every sport got something, but I mean, to hear another boxer before he got to go into the ring to say that he got low ball and he had to go to a smaller venue because.
And meanwhile, he's saying this while we're sitting sitting in a small hall and the hall is sold out for him.
And it's crowded too. There's a lot of people.
He sold 1,000, 2,000 tickets in a 2,500 seat venue. Yeah. And they're all there to see him.
Yeah.
So think about. I want you guys to put yourself in the fighter's shoes. You're a fighter who at the local level, you're just now breaking into the rankings of your weight class.
Yeah.
You have a proven track record of selling tickets all over the area.
All over, yeah.
And you're in a small hall that's 3,000, 2,000 seats, okay? And you're telling us you got lowball before you're fighting a main event, and you've sold probably 80% of the tickets in that arena.
Yeah.
In that venue. So these are some of the things that don't get talked about in boxing.
Crazy, man.
And we want to try to shed a light on these things. I know of another fighter. Who has less than 5 professional fights.
Okay.
And this guy is selling a couple $1,000, a good amount. I'm not gonna specify a number, but he's selling. Let's throw the number out there. He's selling just under $40,000 tickets a fight.
Yeah.
Okay. And he did this for a number of shows. And he did have a big amateur background. He was not in the Olympics. Okay, this fighter, but he's a local. Sensation.
Love him.
But because of the bad business dealings of a certain promoter, where he has to pay a certain amount of money to fight at a certain venue, okay, and it's screwing him out of extra money that he needs for himself.
Exactly.
He now has to go fight away from his home, a little further up the state.
Right.
Because of it. So.
And it's just sad. I mean, don't get me wrong. You want to get your fighters known throughout. The state or throughout the country or whatever the case may be when the money starts kicking in and popularity comes in, but to a certain extent. But now when a fighter's got to leave his nest to go try to make some type of more money for himself because the promoter's not doing his job the way he's supposed to do his job, because this not going to twist it. The promoter works for the boxer. The boxer does not work for the promoter. That's the way I see it.
And a lot of times promoters are lazy because. I always hear promoters. Now I understand the promoter state. I can understand it because that's one thing I think is unique about myself. I feel like I can look at the fighter's standpoint, I can look at the promoter standpoint, I can look at the manager standpoint, network standpoint, and I can understand every side. From the promoter standpoint, I understand that you're always gonna have a slot on the show for a guy who can sell tickets. It doesn't matter if the guy is 16-7. If the guy sells tickets, he will always have a place on your show. Okay, so I get it, but what I have a problem with the promoter is you are a promoter, okay? You are there to promote the fight. So what you see with a lot of promoters is they want to always, they won't really look at the matchups themselves and try to put on good fights. What they'll care about is this guy selling tickets, is that guy selling tickets.
It's crazy.
And they try to just fill the card with guys who sell tickets. And because of that, you're not getting a lot of good fights and the card suffers, okay?
Yeah.
As a promoter, I feel like you should be trying to find ways, especially if you're promoting boxing in the local area, you should be trying to find ways to get these boxers known in the community. You should be trying to find ways to raise awareness.
A promotion.
You should be finding ways to raise the awareness in the local community of the fighter's profile. And so many times I don't see promoters doing that.
I just recently I was at a venue here for the PAL, and they were telling me that, you know, you should bring your local fighters over here so the little kids can see and make a thing out of it, this and that. And that's not my job to do, but I would do it if I have the network and the internet, and like, you know, fighters, Brendan knows fighters. But is that really my job to do that for me when the promoter's getting a piece of the pie of the boxer's check? No, I mean, when I brought my son out, we used to go to a lot of autograph signings.
Well, yeah, when I was a baseball fan growing up, we used to go to Pro Player Stadium when the Marlins used to play, the baseball team. The Marlins used to play there. And when the game would start at 7, we'd be in the parking lot 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I have the baseball cards for both teams in my little book.
Yep. And
we'd go there hours in advance, and we would, you know, when the players came out the bus, we'd call them over. They'd sign autographs. Some would, some would.
And that, and also up to the point, that was something I was talking about. We used to go all the time to the sports shop where they used to have autographs.
The memorabilia stores.
I mean, as a promoter, you gotta find ways. Just like McKinley says about certain boxers, when you were saying, like you saying, like if you're gonna take pictures, you're gonna promote that boxer, you need to go ahead and go to the mall.
Yeah.
Or do this.
I mean, we live in South Florida, right? So if you're a promoter in South Florida, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you ever try to do media workouts at the beach?
Yeah.
Well, there's always people at the beach. There's people from all over at the beach. What better way to raise profile of a fighter than to take them to the beach and have them do, you know how cool it would be? Like this is an idea I've always had. So listen, any local promoters out there, you can hijack my idea. I challenge you, do it. Take the damn fighters to Hollywood Beach or Miami Beach or Fort Lauderdale Beach here in South Florida. Okay, put a big ass ring somewhere on the beach. You know, if you gotta get permits, talk to the city, do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Okay, you go out there with the fighters, have them do their pad work, have them do their shadow boxing, all that stuff.
And mind you, you'll be shaded too.
And you'll be shaded, and then people, you got people from all over the world that at the beach. So people from all over, you never know who you might be talking to.
That's right.
And word of mouth is very strong.
That's true.
Bring some pictures of the fighters. You know, have a picture of the fighters, have them sign on the back of the picture, have some fun facts about each fighter, give a couple hundred of them out, and all of a sudden people know more who this fighter is, they know about your fight. And boom.
And so what? You gotta give a little bit more time of your time without getting paid. But at the end of the day, it's gonna pay off in the long run.
That's it.
But you gotta make that sacrifice and go ahead and do it. You can't just be a promoter and have a big apple pie. You want the whole pie when you haven't even tried to cut the pie in piece and share with everybody else, or get it known out there. Just get out there. There's so many ways you can do that. But it's up to the promoters to do that. That's why you hire a promoter. That's why you know more of a lot of certain fighters than others, because. What the promoters will do, they'll only promote certain fighters more than others. It's not fair to the fighter to sign with you, because when you sign with you, when the boxer sign with you, you gave him a good selling speech.
Yeah, sure.
You know? So it's just the reality of a lot of stuff, and the more I see it, the more I go with Brandon to a lot of these venues and here and there. I just keep my mouth shut and observe. I was like, oh my Lord. I went to places where somebody else called out and said that boxer doesn't have a good team. So then what I do, I want to watch the team and see. I'll say no name, but you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he's not good. And then I start to study the fighter, study this, study that.
And then you watch how the fighter moves and things the fighter is doing on social media.
Yeah.
And you start saying, well, man, maybe that guy had a point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at some point, if you're a manager of a boxer, or you are the promoter, or whatever the case may be, the boxer can do whatever he wants when he's outside the ring, but a certain time, you just gotta be regulations and rules you put down. You say, hey, you're going too far, brother. Don't mix business with a lot of pleasure. You have to have discipline in everything. Are you gonna lose all your money?
Absolutely. And that's why I feel like as I've learned and gotten deeper into the sport of boxing, I feel like I can't disrespect fighters because by the time most of you guys see these guys on television, like on let's just say we won't even talk about them fighting on pay-per-view.
Right.
Let's just say when they get on ShoBox and their prospects.
Right.
Before they even got to that point, they probably fought 5, 10, 11 fights with no pay. They probably had promoters dick them around and promise them X amount of dollars before the fight, but they only get X amount of dollars after the fight. Maybe they might sometimes they might promise them $5,000 before the fight, and then they want to get into that getting paid at all.
It's just so crazy.
And this happens. I mean, this even happens at the high levels of boxing, but it happens a lot less because there's it's such a big profile that you know, if anything happens, they both bad on promoters.
Oh shit, motherfucker! We are anyway. He's dangerous.
Holy hell. Okay.
After we finish this, go ahead. Yeah.
Wow.
That motherfucker almost took us off. Go ahead.
We just sit here. Do we see here talking about promoters? See that? But
anyways, we were saying like.
What I was saying is, a lot of times these guys go through hell just to get to that level. Just fight on ShoBox. Forget fighting on pay-per-view or main eventing. Just to get a slot on ShoBox on TV. They probably gone through hell. So that's why like I can't disrespect fighters. I might have my opinion of them as fighters. You know, I might say that they're overrated. He hasn't fought really the creme de la creme. I can say those kind of things. But what I will not do is say that a fighter is a coward unless he is blatantly ducking someone, like unless it's clear as day ducking, example Canelo, Demetrius Boo Boo Handshake. Then I might say, but it'll take me a while to get there before I actually say those words.
And if you guys have any questions for us, just leave them down in the comments. And we don't know the answer, we'll try to do the best we can to give you some right answers. You know what I mean?
And better yet, if you're a fighter, because I know I have fighters that watch this channel. I know some fighters who maybe didn't make it to television, but they were fighters. Anybody who's a fighter or a trainer or just been involved in boxing anyway, if you have any stories about promoters who have done fighters dirty, done them wrong, screwed them out of money, made false promises, drop it in the damn comments. Let this video be your voice to speak your piece and say what you want to say, because we're just exposing the little bit we've heard.
A little bit, but it's a lot.
It's a little bit, but it's a lot, because the guys that are telling us, they're not just rinky-dink fighters. These are guys that and
like I said, I'm just learning when I go with my son, but I'm sure he's seen all kinds of stuff. He just stays quiet.
Yeah, these are guys that are doing a lot of really great things at the local level, and you know, have the potential to be world level fighters.
So they try to be positive, but how are you gonna be positive when you're playing with the food?
That's it.
To feed themselves, honestly.
Yeah, and some of these fighters got 2, 3, 4 kids they gotta feed.
It's just I don't understand how a promoter, like I say, he's not in the ring fighting. He's just promoting the fighter. He wants more of the pieces of pie. When they're the ones like for example, like the families should be confiscated in some way in case something does happen to the fighter for the single parents. You know, and the promoters don't do a lot for that. Once I'll give you an example. The guy that just passed away from
Maxime Dadashev.
Yeah, from him. The promoter, what's his name? Klein's Management. Yeah, him. He said he gonna pay for his funeral. Okay, that's nice. But what else are you gonna do? What else Lomachenko gonna do? What else Usyk gonna do? What else you gonna do for that family now that that he made you some money? You just gonna pay $10,000 or whatever, and that's it? I mean, you gotta take into account. That's what I'm saying.
Top Rank started to go for me.
Well, that's good. But
they made like $50,000 so far.
But I'm getting at, like, in general, you're a promoter that's making so much money, or making all these people, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, we just do you a favor, we'll pay you for. What about the rest? How you compensate the family? The boxer's never gonna come back.
Yeah, and then a lot of times too, the boxer's in a rock and a hard place because, you know, especially if you're a fighter who is in the early stages of his career. I know a lot of fighters. I mean, I have friends who are fighters who don't have managers.
Yeah.
Who don't have managers because of the fact that they don't want to pay that extra manager's fee. They don't feel like they can afford it at this point.
Right.
So what winds up happening is their trainer becomes their manager, and then their trainer, you know, has to focus on training. So if an opponent is given to them, they're just gonna take it because they want to focus on training and getting the fighter ready, and they don't have time to do all that.
Yeah.
So the fighter suffers, and these are the things that are not spoken enough about in boxing. You know, because in boxing, the fighter has to worry about, first you have making weight, then you have just making weight, which is hard enough within itself.
Yeah.
Then you have the improving in the gym every day, just improving your skill set, becoming the best fighter you can be.
Nutrition, your sleep,
your sleep, Then you might have any personal problems. You don't have to
I was asking
family,
him-
girlfriends.
I was asking the boxer the other day after he fought and everything a while back, a couple weeks ago, if you can have at least one burger from McDonald's. He told me no. He's got to stay strictly in the same regimen,
yeah.
regimen no matter what. I said, yeah, but he can't cheat at least a little bit. He said, no, you got to stay on that like that. You know, so I mean, to me, I mean, a boxer, people don't understand.
They
this.
sacrifice so
Oh,
much.
my
They
God.
sacrifice so much.
And it's a dangerous sport whether you go into fight or you're preparing for the fight. So, I mean, people need to respect the fights when they get in there because you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And yes, we know in every business and everything, there's always some type of things behind the let's say the black door that we never go through to see what's going on. But at the same time, you have to understand that you treat people the way they should be treated, not like an animal. You treat them like a person, and you'll see how far it goes.
Do you have any message to the corrupt promoters or managers that
Yeah, I basically
screw fighters?
Yes, I honestly say, how can you lay in your bed every night and go to sleep knowing that who you're living off is somebody that's giving their life each and every time they go in the ring? And like, you're just cold-hearted, you're like, oh, I don't care. Basically, that's what you're saying. I'm just another piece of meat, another number, and go to sleep like it's nothing. You got to be really cold-hearted to do that, especially when that fighter's dedicated all his time, more so to the ring than more to his family, because he has sacrificed for his family to make the money and be loyal to you, and you're supposed to take care of them, and you don't. Some promoters need to wake up.
Yeah.
I'm not even in the game, but my 4 eyes let me know everything in my 2 ears.
Absolutely. I think
I pray for all of them. I pray for all the boxers and hope that they get treated the way they should be treated. And that, I just don't think this should be greed because everybody's going to make a piece of the pie anyways.
That's it. And it's like Tyson Fury said it best one time. We're all pieces of meat.
Yeah. That's sad. I mean, but that's how you got to look at it. But it shouldn't be like that. If I invested on you, like that's one thing. That's one term that I hear a lot from some of these promoters. With the last venue, this guy kept saying, "I invested in him. I'm not going to invest in this other fighter because he didn't do this, but I lost a lot of money on this fighter." So now they're not even looking at you.
Oh yeah, there's two sets. A lot of times too, there are now listen, there are good managers and promoters who take chances on fighters, and maybe these fighters don't do right by the managers and promoters, and maybe the fighters, even though the fighter's talented and can probably challenge for titles, he's out on the street selling drugs and toting guns and he's not disciplined. Yeah. So we're not gonna just make this we're not just making this about bad managers and promoters. There's idiot fighters as well who promoters and managers lose thousands, sometimes millions and millions of dollars off of because of stupid decisions. I mean, I'll name a fighter. Right? I'll name a fighter by name. We did an interview with Stacey McKinley, great trainer. He invested how much money in the Miramar? And he lost money on the Miramar. And Miramar was a guy who fought in Showtime, who fought in title eliminators, and was gonna fight for the world title. And he was a name. He was a known name in boxing. And
very skillful fighter.
One of the most skillful fighters he ever trained. He said he's been around some great fighters, and he never got that full return on his investment, because that's the thing too, is like a lot of times people don't understand is these trainers and managers and promoters as well, but I'm going to talk more from the trainer standpoint.
Okay.
These trainers are the most unappreciated people in boxing, because they whatever that fighter makes, he's only going to see 10% of it. Okay, and if let's just say that fighter, he's going to fight for 20 fights. Around the 21st fight, that fighter's gonna fight for world titles, and that's when that trainer's supposed to be seeing his investment. But all of a sudden, that fighter feels that he doesn't need that trainer no more, and maybe that fighter's manager talked him into getting a new trainer. As a fighter we know, he canned a friend of ours.
Got pissed off.
Okay.
So yeah, basically
that happens to trainers get thrown on pieces. So to me, trainers and fighters are one and the same.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. I like trainers that really takes boxing, takes the boxer to heart, and want to watch over him like a guardian angel, not just for the investment, but for him as a person.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter what issue he has out of the ring, he's going to be there 24/7. And one guy that I can say that for sure, that I got a lot of respect for, and he comes from the Kronk Gym in Detroit. He came from one of the famous, that I feel one of the famous trainers ever, Emmanuel Stewart, is Stacey McKinley. He talks from the heart. He gave a lot of examples about certain fighters that he literally had they had issues, personal issues, and he said, no, when you're a trainer, you're not just a trainer in the gym. You gotta stay focused.
It's all the time.
Yeah, and that's
It's
a
like,
big thing.
in fact,
It's like a jockey and a horse.
There's a street right here right now. He used an example of a street. He said if Mike Tyson, because Jason trained Mike Tyson, if Mike Tyson crossed the street right now and he gets hit by a car, it's not Mike's fault. It's Stacy's fault. It's Stacy's fault because you should have known. You should have known what he was gonna do, and you should have. You should have told him, manipulated him to not cross the street. You should know his you should know his tendencies.
Yeah.
As a person.
So what he's basically saying is, not just as a human being, it's still your investment. If you got some gold invested in the stock market, right, and you put $5,000 in that gold, you're gonna watch that gold wherever it goes. If it goes up and down to make sure it stays right in the right place, right? To make sure you make the money interest. The same thing with the trainer. What you say, you have to have a good personal relationship with your fighter.
Yep.
And the fighter the same way he has with you. And once you get to know him, it doesn't matter what he does, you know, it's like if you have no wife and you know that her bad habits, she knows your bad habits. You can tell the difference, you know what I mean?
Yep.
The same thing with the trainer. So when trainers take a lot of pride in that and they're talking from the heart and they're just not using it just to get their 50% or 10%, then you have to literally respect that.
Yeah. So there you have it, man. That's just our take on some of the dirty things that go on in boxing. We'll recap it real quick.
Yeah.
All right. Fighters can take 10, 11 fights in their career and not get paid.
It's crazy.
Sometimes fighters go in the ring not knowing that they'll get the check after the fight, and that's on their mind while they're fighting.
It's crazy.
We have some fighters who fight at venues where the local venue, you have to pay a certain amount to fight there on top of getting an opponent. And I know some of you guys are going to say things like, well, why don't they just go fight somewhere else? Well, if a fighter doesn't have money, he can't just go fight out of state.
And it's not even that. It's just like a professional athlete that's under contract to whoever team or wherever he's at. He can't just walk off to go to the other team because he wants to.
He got legally binding contracts.
And then that's when the lawsuits come in.
And then they lose a user career. And you know, it's kind of like what happened to Maggie Garcia or Andre Ward. You know, they lose prime years of their career because of legal disputes, contracts.
It's crazy.
And then what winds up happening
for years too.
What winds up happening is during those periods of time, fighters begin to resent boxing,
the game
business
itself,
of boxing, because it's like, well, I like the sport, but the business of it is like
more headache than anything else.
More headaches than anything. So these are things these fighters go
fighters
through.
Get a good promoter that's gonna actually look out for them. Study them. It's just like when you go to buy property or something. You're not just gonna move anywhere without studying the whole economics of it, where the section area's at, how good is it for me to live there. And the same thing when you have a promoter. How is he gonna treat me as a fighter? And do some study, ask questions, do your homework before you just sign with anybody, because like Brandon says, if you have issues with that promoter you want to leave, you can't just jump ship, and if you jump ship, you gotta get paid. And if you jump ship, you're gonna get sued for a while, and it becomes a big it's like a lawsuit. It takes years sometimes to even settle that dispute. But meantime, now you as a fighter is losing money because that promoter is taking money from you, plus you have the promoter that you hired.
There you go.
So it's a whole political thing. Just keep the prayers. Hopefully the boxing game will get better. We're just trying to give you a different perspective from our point of view that we've seen to help you understand the sport of boxing. Maybe you get to love the sport more and make you understand more about the ins and outs of boxing that we can give you help with.
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions in regards to how fighters get dicked around, you can drop them in the comments, and I'll feel free to I'll respond to them. Now, if you're gonna ask me details about who I'm talking about and what promoters and what venues,
you know that's coming.
I will not disclose that because the fighters trust me, and I'd be doing a big disservice to them by telling their information. I would also be doing myself. I would be getting myself in big trouble because the promoter will probably come after me. So if they come after me, they're just gonna come after me because they're nosy and they have nothing else to do, and they're not promoting, and they're watching YouTube videos, and they shouldn't be making fights.
But I mean,
but I haven't used any names in here.
BTS, and I've seen his channel growing, but he's established a trustworthiness within the boxing community that's unbelievable. That I didn't even believe that he was going to get to this point. He's got promoters calling him, professional boxers. I'm telling you, I've sit here and I said, Brendan, but that's because he's worked there and he's sincere, he's honest, and he's got to protect them, doesn't get to protect himself. That's it. So please understand that. Thank you for supporting the channel. We love you guys. We love talking boxing, and hopefully we give you some type of clarity to some of the dark side of boxing.
Yeah. So again, Leave if you have any stories about bad promoters. You know, if it's interesting enough, I might make a video about it.
I'll tell you one right now. And it's gonna be short and sweet. Don King. People think Don King's a crook and everything, and he robbed this and he robbed that. But if you do your research, and I was reading about Don King myself, and I did a little research on it. He's not a bad promoter, but the public made him a bad promoter. I think he stole from a lot of people. But people don't realize the promoters paid the housing and all these kind of bills for like 6, 7 years, 10 years, or whatever.
Some of them,
Yeah, and they invested a lot of time, so they and some fighters even got money back or bonuses, and their mothers got bonuses that promoters didn't have to do. So I've seen a good side of Don King that I misunderstood for a lot of years, and it's because of you, BT, because we've gone to different places and we've seen it, and I'm hearing, I see this, I see that. So I'm not longer.
We've literally listen, not to get too specific, but we've literally been at Stacey McKinley's gym and we've seen Don King checks, like the actual physical checks. Like a lot of you guys who think Don King is not around in boxing, no, that man is still very much around. I've seen on the damn table at Stacey McKinley, I've seen checks that he writes to. I'm not talking about guys who are contenders. I'm talking about guys that you never heard of who are like bums that you guys would call good bums that nobody's ever heard of. He's writing these guys checks, paying for the housing, bringing them from other countries.
I mean, he gives them. I mean, he gives bonuses to these. He gives free money to the family, this and that.
But that doesn't get talked about.
And yeah, the good. You always hear the bad things.
That's life in general.
So it's taught, but it's taught me more about the boxing game that you can't just always go by what the media says about a person, or about a promoter, without like really relating to him. See, we're relating to this to a trainer that's been there for years with him, and he's told so many stories about Don King that you wouldn't even believe that he's got these that because the media don't put him out there like that.
Yeah.
Oh, he stole from Mike Tyson. He did this, he did that. But in reality, he didn't steal from nobody. He paid their way through. Like it's like you putting a kid through college, and the kid graduates but doesn't apply what he learned.
It's true.
The same thing with that. So then he can't get his investment back. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna say I don't agree with everything what promoters do, but I have to respect the promoters if they've done that for everybody and has treated them that way. So with that being said, kudos to Don King, and let's make America great.
Yeah, but
I'm being serious when I say that. I went on YouTube and I went to Google and I did a little research on Don King myself, and not just from what I'm hearing. He's not really a bad person. He's very outspoken on certain things and issues, but he's not a bad person like people perceive him to be.
We gotta get up with him one of these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys have any bad stories about bad promoters, if you're a fighter, when you had a promoter do you the wrong way and you want to tell your story.
One more person. I always talk bad about it sometimes, but I was in favor of him. Mayweather's not a bad promoter either person. Some people think he really is.
Listen,
and when you look deep in the inside of how he treats his boxing,
I already know how he treats his boxing. Yeah. Honestly, I think he, you know how they say people are enablers.
Yeah.
Mayweather is actually an enabler. Sometimes he treats his boxers too good. These motherfuckers aren't even 5-0. He's putting them up in houses. They got a Corvette.
So this is sometimes we label certain fight. Like me, I have my issue with Mayweather's his legacy and when he fought the guys that were not proper. So forget about that. He's still got a heart, and he'll take any bum off the street. And I'm gonna pay your way through here. Like my son was telling me, you don't hear a lot of times when Mayweather gets money here or this promoter gets money out, but Nelson, they do. You just tell people don't like to be rich people don't like to show that out there.
Yeah,
or call it out there. So kudos to him too. So you gotta respect some of these promoters that I didn't know things about. But sometimes the best way of learning about certain people is by doing your own research.
Go. So yeah, if you're a fighter who's been done wrong and you want to tell your story, drop it in the comments.
Yeah.
If you're a trainer who has been done wrong by a promoter or manager, drop it in the comments. If
not
you're
even just wrong. If you have any positives.
If you have any positives, if you know of any promoters who maybe don't get enough shine, drop that in the comments. Just anything about promoters or managers or fighters or whatever that you want to get out there. Drop it in the comments about just anything that pertains to the business of boxing. Drop it in the comments, and I'll definitely be reading. I'll be paying extra attention to the comments in this video, so I'll be responding to these. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe. Like I said, every single video. You can love me or you can hate me. And I'm just giving things. Until next time, take care.